Well, welcome back to the shop. I'm Chris with M7 Metalworks, and today we're going to restore this vise. This is an Athol vise made in Athol, Massachusetts. And I don't know a whole bunch about this company. I do know that Starrett used this company to make their some tools, I guess. And so Starrett eventually had Athol making them vices. And I can see why Starrett, if you know anything about Starrett high quality tools, they make a high quality vise, Athol does. And I can tell just running around this vise a little bit that it's really high quality. So we're going to see about getting this vise restored today. And it's the model number is a 324.5X. We're going to have a good bit of work to do on it with the jaws, because it looks like just somebody just did a ton of grinding with the cutter blade on there on these jaws. So I'm going to want to probably clean those up and just try to fix some of this, just to clean this up, because we're so close to being perfect on our jaws, and I really don't want to have to grind down so much that I take that much jaw off. So my plan is to probably do some TIG welding on these jaws. If you notice here, we've got some pipe jaws in here as well. Pretty awesome. So let's get cracking. This vise gets taken apart just a little bit differently than a lot of the vices that I've had in the past. So very simple to do. We're just about there. Yeah, there we go. This vise weighs a little bit over 80 pounds when I put it on the scale. There you can get a good look at those jaws. The single jaw here is just a little bit more worn than the double jaw on the static side of the vise. Those are nice and crisp and clean edges. This one's, you know, it looks like this has had a little bit more wear on it, at least as near as I could tell. Now, this is just slightly different. We've got a cotter pin in here. And so there's the cotter pin right there. You can see it folded over on both sides. The pin came off. They just broke off when I bent them up. So now I've just got kind of a little nut there. So I should be able to just tap that bad boy through. I really only want to start it because it should be popping through. There it is on the other side. So now let me just grab something and I'll get it underneath there and see if I can wedge that bad boy out of there. Alright, now we got just a little piece there sticking out. So, let's see if I can grab that thing. There we go. So let's see if we can get that bad boy out of there. And I do want to pay attention to the line up there. A little bit tough getting them out. Just because there's running grease in there. Alright, so there's our spring. And we have one more washer. There it is. Okay, now let's get a screwdriver here and let's get one of these jaws out of here. I haven't put any oil in this. Usually I'll use WD or something, but I didn't do that on this. I'm not sure. Oh, look at that. So you don't even have to take that screw all the way out. That's nice. That I don't have to remove that entirely. So the big side is up, and that of course would correspond with where our set screw is at. Oh wait, I wanted to show you these the lead screw on this. Pretty interesting. That is not your typical Acme thread. I don't know what you would call that thread. I've seen them before, but it's pretty rare something I see on very many vices, and this is probably the first vise, bench vise, that I've seen that threading on. So kind of interesting. I like it. All right, so let's get this unscrewed. Really like the way this is. Now that's bent. We'll have to fix that. All right. Line that up. There we go. Looks pretty good. These might have a little bit of wear on them, but nothing that would be that concerning. Yeah, there it is. All right. There's our pin. Nice little pin. Okay. Let's get that lead nut out. So to do that, we're just going to put our punch here. And it nice and easily comes out. So well, these things unscrew really easy. I like that. Okay, vise jaw. I like that these unscrew easily. Yeah, that one's a little wallered out there. We may put that one on the other side just to keep that thing from moving so much. But we'll clean these up. If you look at the jaws themselves, they are about the same. They all look about the same except for the one that's single that goes in between. This is a little bit thicker, as you can see. Other than that, got the same profile. Pretty cool. We'll file all this and just kind of clean these edges up a bit. Right here, you have to loosen this set screw up if you want to try to get the base off of this vise. Very, very important. I'm using an impact driver right there just to loosen it up. Then it comes out no problem at all. But you'll find that if you do that, then the nut on the base will actually loosen up. I had to use a piece of flat bar here, guys, kind of like a large screwdriver with my crescent wrench. But once I got her loosened up, she came right out. Components now are clean. Power washed all of that. Welded on this. Now there's some porosity here in the weld. If you recall, this had a pretty deep gouge right there, and the stuff doesn't weld particularly great. That's why you get the porosity, but it's good enough because, you know, really we could have filled that in with body putty if we wanted, but I won't dare put body putty in a vise. I just think that's silly. But weld is important, I think, near the jaws, because you could be banging on something right here, and if that were body filler or epoxy or something, that would just chip and crack and everything else. These little small little pinholes, those will fill in just fine with paint, and we'll tape off the jaws right along the seam here where you see the hardened jaws are at. I've ground down, and I also welded across some of these to take out some of these gouges along the top. Same with on this side. I went ahead and dressed that. Super clean inside and out now. Here's the base. Got the base super clean. Same with on this jaw here. I had to do quite a bit more work on it, but it actually turned out better. So again, on the sides, dressed them. I welded across the top. Didn't have to weld any on this particular side. You can see where the flash rusting is occurring right here on the mild steel. So if you look right here, you can see that is the hardened jaw. So that is forge welded. My understanding, my best understanding, is that these jaws get forge welded in the factory and they're keyed into it just like that. Isn't that cool? So I'll end up taping across this, and we won't paint the actual face of the jaws or the sides of the jaws. All these, some of you are thinking, well, why weld all this stuff and do this work on here and leave all these little pock marks and hammer marks and grinding marks? The reason for that is my paint will cover most of that. I mean, that won't look like anything bad at all when we're done. I've done lots of vices this way, and it's silly to go through that with body filler and do just nonsense like that on a vise. This is going to a someone's shop where they're actually going to use this vise. It's not going to be a show pony where it sits on a shelf. Time to paint, guys. I think we're going to go with antique pewter, and then I think we'll blue the jaws, give them a nice dark look. That should contrast against this lighter color, which is really closer to the original color. Look like a battleship gray. And we'll try it just a little bit different because I'm going to actually put the dark bronze this time on it, and I don't think this is going to make much of a difference because it's already pretty dark, but we're going to try, see if we can't get a little bit different look. So I'm going to put just a light coating of this as a base, and then we'll come back over it with the antique pewter. Pretty windy in here today. Now we're going to go over it with the antique pewter. Obviously, it's going to lighten it up. Try to put it on pretty heavy on the back, over the tops of those jaws. This is a hammered paint, so if you don't put it on heavy, it won't give you that hammered look. You can really almost try to make it run. Better. Well, it's been a day since we've painted, and now it's just time to assemble this. We've got all of our smaller parts cleaned and kind of oiled up and that kind of thing. So now it's just time to get this baby put back together. And we want to do that, of course, without damaging anything. And I think the first thing to do is going to be putting this base on because it's so awkward and heavy. We'll put a little bit of grease around the rim of this on this base on the center. Not getting crazy with the grease. A little bit on my nut. Already got some on there, but put a little bit more on there. As you can see, this bolt is going in so much better than it did coming out. And we want that thing tight enough to prevent a lot of movement. But we want it tight enough that it's not going to allow for a lot of movement in this direction. Now, if you remember, we got our little screw in there, and we'll snug that in. And I will just snug it. I'm not going to get crazy on it. It wasn't super tight for me when I took it apart. Our lead nut. Hey, you two. Settle down here. I'm trying to make a YouTube video. All right. Wow, she's going nowhere now. That feels great. Here's my nut, and I went ahead and put some boiled linseed oil on that, so that gives it just a little bit of sheen. I could have blued it and put some oil on it and done it that way, but I do like the look of boiled linseed oil on the bare metal, and that one still had a little bit of chrome on it still. So, all right. All I'm doing here, I'll try to get you guys in frame, but you can take this right up to it from underneath, just like that. And then on the front side, I'm taking my nut, at the risk of kind of messing up my paint a little bit down there. I want you guys to be able to see this. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of lube, put it in there. Don't need a ton, more than enough. Hey, you guys, settle down. Goodness. All right. That's good right there. So this will go in just like that. And then we're going to use, I believe, the long one is what we need for this side. We'll put just a little bit of lube on there. So if you recall, these have a little indentation on them right there. I hope that comes up on camera for you. And these little set screws, of course, go right in there. Nice jaws on each side. Did I get them in the right spot? I think I did. just a little bit of oil in a few spots. I'm not putting but a drop. The lead screw, I did the same thing with, I've coated it with some boiled linseed oil. And if you recall, I'm gonna need bare hands on this. And I'm not gonna put a bunch of grease on it right now. I'll do that once it's in there. The reason for that is because I've got to deal with all of this. This is gonna have to go all the way through here. Into that. Okay guys, I just used a couple screwdrivers and kind of wedged them in there in a crisscross pattern and just kind of push that washer and that screw. Let me let you see. So you can see I've just pulled that back, compressed that spring, and then now of course I'm going to have to bend the ears back. And I'm probably going to have to do the same thing that was done when I got it, and I'd smash this little loop a little bit lower profile so that it'll turn in this and won't touch. So I'll do that right now. It's not going to be a big deal. Just about got it wrapped up here. Got the lead screw in. And now we just need to thread it down the nut. These big vices, man, you got to wrestle them. Okay, last thing I need to do is throw a little bit of lube on the metal surfaces and just a little oil finish, and then I'll bring you back and we'll go over the vise. Well, here it is, guys. The Athol 324.5, completely redone. I went ahead and took a few minutes and outlined the lettering in black. I like the whole black kind of silvery gray theme, and she's working beautifully now. Maybe a look at those jaws. They look pretty fantastic now. I've put everything, light coating of oil on everything. So just run you around it here a little bit. And if you're wondering about this vise right next to it, check just in your right upper corner of your screen, and I'll try to put the link to that. I just did that restoration on a reed. You can see how the paint filled in a lot of those little gouges and scratches and that kind of thing, hammer marks. It's a mottled paint or a hammered paint, and so it does a really good job of hiding a lot of imperfections. Handle turned out real nice. So guys, that's the Athol 324.5. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Click subscribe if you haven't already. I got several more videos we've got to do on these vices. I've got another, I think, 8 vices that I need to restore, maybe 10, I don't know now. So anyways, guys, I'm Chris with M7 Metalworks. Thanks for watching.